So Proverbs 10 or 7.
Good. All right, so Proverbs 10:17 this evening. Proverbs 10:17. And the next one here as we go through Proverbs, and we'll just get right into it. The Proverbs here states, "He is in the way of life that keepeth instruction, but he that refuseth reproof erreth." Underneath of that, of course, you have the Hebrew and you have the literal translation above it, the grammatical elements below it. And even if you're not going to comprehend all of it, I would still highly recommend familiarizing yourself, often or every week with those things. Underneath of that, we have a couple notes that I just put there. Number one is we'll go over that, and it's a chiastic structure, and the second is it's a contrasting parallelism. So we can see the contrasting of it very, very easily. You have in the way of life that keepeth instruction, and he that refuseth reproof erreth. So you have these two contrasting statements that make up this one proverb. The descriptive literal translation beneath it literally states way to life. Now that word, we'll get into it, but that word way indicates one's manner of thinking, one's behavior, one's manner of existence. Okay, it's an activity of your life. So the activity, so the way to life exists, keeping instruction. So how do we get life? By constantly keeping instruction. The second line, and abandoning of rebuke exists, causing straying. Okay, so you have the top, here's the chiastic structure means there's like an X going on. The top left part, way to life, is in contrast with the bottom right that says causing straying. So you have way to life and you have causing straying. You see that? So way to life or way of straying. So you have those two opposites. And then the upper right and bottom left are opposites. You have the abandoning and the keeping. So to abandon or to forsake and to keep, those are opposites. Now, there's an item in here that is not contrasting, and it's rebuke and instruction. Rebuke and instruction are synonymous. Those two things are looking at the same thing, but from a different perspective. And we'll get into it, but just to help establish some thinking before we get into this. If let's just say somebody is giving you instruction. If you value that person, if your relationship is good with that person, and if that person is important to you, you will be wanting that instruction. But if it's somebody that you don't respect, somebody that you don't like, somebody that you don't value what they say, you're going to push that instruction away. And so it's that heart of the individual that's going to look at this instruction as something desirable or as something non-desirable. So when you're receiving instruction and your heart is against the one who's giving the instruction, it's going to come off as reproof or rebuke. Right? So if my heart is hardened toward God and he instructs me, I'm going to view that instruction as rebuking me. Well, why? Because my existence is contrary to his instruction, and I am not wanting conformity. I'm wanting to be separate from it. And so it's kind of like that, we say it sometimes, like, you can't tell me what to do. Right? You don't know me, right? So there's rebuke. Now, the content hasn't changed. Instruction and rebuke. It's two ways of looking at the same thing. The instruction is the content of it, and to rebuke that rebuke coming from God is correction. But the difference being, is my heart desiring his correction, or am I going to be viewing it as rebuke? So way to life exists, keeping instruction. So you're desiring that instruction, and abandoning of rebuke exists, causing straying. So you have two designs here. It's an absolute fact That the only way to life, the only manner of existence to life, the only way. You see, this isn't a step by. This isn't a keeping of a list of things. This is a manner of existence. This is one's constant behavior. Okay, so it's that manner of existence to life exists keeping instruction. So keeping instruction is the key, and that is so the keeping of instruction. That's to be my manner of existence in order to exist to life. Okay, so that's the design. So let's move on, and we'll cover that in a minute. So page two. Again, these are two absolute designs that are two sides of the same coin. So it's one set. Number one, God's designed relationship to humans. Okay, so if the instructor is going to instruct us, let's start at the foundation of what relationship, not what relationship, what's God's design for humans' relationship to God, which we're going to next. But before that, who establishes man's designed relationship to God? Well, the Creator does. So let's begin at where the Creator, how he has designed his relationship to be with humans. Because that's going to tell us a whole lot about the instructor, the one that's giving the instruction. Okay? So let's look at this. The Creator, in his wisdom, his thinkings, before the creation ever came into physical existence, already knew what his design was for how he desired to relate to humans. This design was physically carried out beginning in Genesis 1:1. The Creator created all that exists, not separate from him. Could he, in our limited perspective, and he couldn't because he didn't, but that aside, could he not have created man separate from him completely? Could he have created everything and put it at a distance and be nonchalant in the activities of man? Couldn't he have done that? If that was his perfect will, that's what he could have done. But that's not what happened. That's not what he did. So the Creator created all that exists, not separate from him. And again, I'll pause there, but this is for the purpose of laying the groundwork of the relationship that the Creator has that designed a relationship to humans that he has, okay, that he has established. So the Creator created everything not separate from him, as a human worker and designer would be separate from his work. But the constructor built all of existence, all of creation, inside of his existence. Inside of him. To where, if you and I build something, that which we build is not a part of us. It's not in us. We don't transcend it all. We're finite. We're not infinite over that which we've created. Right? And so there is a separation in this sense. There is a separation, but not with God. He constructed and built everything to where he is inseparable from all of it. You can go down to the most smallest minute detail, the smallest minute particle, and God has designed it to where he is perfectly inseparable and in all of it. Zero separation, zero alienation. So this is really important. So he built all of existence, all of creation inside of his existence. This shows us the relationship that he desired to have with us and has. Making all that exists, whether recognized by humans or not, inseparable from him, as he, the authority of existence, transcends and pervades all that exists. There is not the smallest element where the designer is not present and his design does not rule. There's not the smallest element that's separate from him. The footnote number 2 there is Psalm 139. I just put verses 7 through 12. states, "Whither shall I go from thy spirit? Or whither shall I flee from thy presence? If I ascend up into heaven," what is heaven? It's dimensionality. It's dimensionality. Think that way. Don't think of, because we think of all of this and then heaven's a specific place out there. No, heaven is dimensionality, all of it. If I ascend up into dimensionality, thou exist there. If I make my bed in hell, behold, thou art there. Now, how is God in hell? How is the Creator in hell? Well, He's the designer of it. He's the ruler of it. He's the one that set those parameters. He's not in hell as if He is under the effects of hell. He is the effects of hell. He is the designer of it. It all exists in Him. So He's not in hell as a human or a fallen angel would be in hell. That is part of His creation that He has created and that also exists in Him as He transcends all of it. Hell is not the absence of God. Hell is the judgment of God. To view hell as the absence of God is to contradict what God says about who He is. So He's not in hell in the sense of He's under the effects of hell, right? Suffering. No, He's the one that designed and created it. It all exists in Him. So if I take the wings of the morning and dwell in the uttermost parts of the sea. So in a manner, we've gone dimensionalities upon dimensionalities. We've gone in the mind of man how we think of hell as far as depths. And now we're going distance. Okay? If I take the wings of the morning and dwell in the uttermost parts of the sea, even there shall thy hand lead me, and thy right hand shall hold me. He's already there. He's already there. You know, humans continue to find, and we call it, I don't even know what we call it. I can't think of the word all of a sudden. When we find a new species of something. Yeah, we'll say, look what I've discovered. And man has never seen it before. And how much of the oceans, by the way, has man discovered? Very little of it. Very little of it. There's all sorts of animals that man has never discovered. But guess what? They're already being taken care of by the Creator. Man's never been there. But the Lord's already taken care of it. It's in Him. He's already there. Even there shall thy hand lead me, and thy right hand shall hold me. If I say, surely the darkness shall cover me, even the night shall be light about me. Why? Because God is not under the effect of what He's created. Yea, the darkness hideth not from thee, but the night shineth as the day. The darkness and the light are both alike to thee. It's not that God can see better when it's brighter out. You know, we often have such a horrible, limited view of our Creator. So, there's not the smallest element, the smallest area where He does. Now, again, keep the point in mind. This is the relationship that He established Himself to have. He could have put creation at whatever distance from Him that He wanted. You see that? He could have, as God, He could do whatever He wanted to with His creation. It's His. And the creation gets no say-so in the matter. But what did He do? He made it inseparable from Him, showing the relationship that He designed mankind to have with Him. But let me back up, by showing the design that He created, that He didn't create Himself, I didn't mean it like that, but the design He created for Himself to be in towards humans. The interaction that He wanted with His creation. So, the Creator also designed the creation itself to intensively declare His glory, His value as its Creator. Meaning, so God takes creation, He creates it, and He makes it inseparable from His person in every element, in every way, and then designs it to where the creation itself, from the most minute particle to the greatest, all of it, is a worded expression of His glory. The heavens declare the glory of God, and the firmament showeth His handiwork. And that whole psalm is one synonymous parallelism of the glory of God. So he didn't just create everything in him to where not only does he transcend it all and you can't separate any of it from him in any way, he made it to where all of it perfectly reveals him. So you have another element of now he is revealing himself in that creation. To what degree? Do you have to really go searching for it? No, you have to ignore it in order to not know. This is how prominent is he making himself to mankind. That's what we're looking at. Okay? So this tells us what relationship he desires to have with mankind. Keep that in mind. So, thus the Creator created and designed the creation to be inseparable from him and to accurately reveal him. The creation is a perfect, worded expression of the Creator as he exists. He exists perfect and is the definer and establisher of good and can do no else. Let's go to Psalm 19. Let's go to Psalm 19. This Psalm 19 is going to demand probably a couple months, but we can go over it a little bit right now. The idea of where I'm getting the creation is a worded expression is because, okay, let's say when you look at a flower, what are you thinking? Flower, pretty, colorful. It's literally expressing itself to you of what it is. You see that? And so the creation is expressing all of it, the flower and every piece of it is expressing the glory, the value of the Creator. And it's doing it intensively. It is a worded expression. Now, Psalm 19, the heavens declare the glory of God, and the firmament showeth his handiwork. Day unto day uttereth speech, and night unto night what? Showeth knowledge. There is no speech, nor language, where their voice is not heard. It is a worded expression. Their line is gone out through all the earth, and their words to the end of the world. In them hath he set a tabernacle for the sun, which is as a bridegroom coming out of his chamber, and rejoiceth as a strong man to run a race. His going forth is from the end of the heaven, and his circuits unto the ends of it, and there's nothing hid from the heat thereof. Now, the rest of this other portion ties in. It's speaking of his written word, of course, but at the same time, it's also speaking of the creation, being that the creation itself is a perfect revelation of the Creator. Okay? So, what is the content of the knowledge that the creation is giving? Where there's no speech nor language, or the voice is not heard. Verse 2, day unto day uttereth speech, and night unto night showeth knowledge. What is it? What is it? What is it expressing? It's whether we recognize it or not, it's expressing him. It's expressing all of him. How much does man learn who God is by studying the creation? Okay. So again, this is going to require a whole lot more, but for now, suffice it to say, verse 7, you have an incredible, huge parallelism that is teaching far greater than most people see. The law of the Lord. What is the law? It is the design. And then you have the word Lord all capitalized. That's his name, Yahweh, right? His name, he exists. The design of the Lord, Yahweh, is perfect, converting the soul. The testimony. What's the difference between the testimony and the law? It's just another way of looking at the same thing. The testimony of the Lord is what? It's sure. So it's sure and perfect. What does it do? Making wise the simple. It makes wise the simple and converting the soul. You see how those are synonymous. I've got to get into this later. But the statutes of the Lord are right, rejoicing the heart. The commandment of the Lord is pure, enlightening the eyes. The fear of the Lord is clean, enduring forever. The judgments of the Lord are true and righteous altogether. Okay. Do you understand what I'm getting at here is all of these things is the God who exists intensively revealing himself to mankind and commanding man to know him. To the extent, okay, if you have all those extents, then there's another extent, which is, he tells us, more to be desired are they than gold, yea, than much fine gold. What is they? His law, his testimony, his design, the knowledge of him. Sweeter also than honey and the honeycomb. Moreover, by them is thy servant warned, and in keeping of them there is great reward. So, to what extent does it sound like the Creator? What relationship has God established for him to have with man? What is he set for the relationship between him and man? Not what man will have with him, that's in a minute, but what he will have with man. You can't get closer. You can't do it. That kind of sounds like he wants to be that he's designed himself to be man's everything. It sounds like he has designed his relationship with man for there to be nothing there but him. That's how much he has designed himself to be a part of man. He didn't design himself, but he's designed that relationship with man. Okay? So keep that in mind. Having established the creation in this manner, indicating his desire or his will to have an intimate relationship to his creation, he then established humans. So far, we've been kind of blanket with the creation. So now let's go to mankind. He then established humans as the head of creation to steward the creation. So we've looked at blanketly how the relationship that he has designed, that he has with the creation. But now he's going to bring man up to the front of that. Okay? The stewarding would necessitate a relationship to the Creator that was unbroken. How often do we think we're doing well as Christians? Reading this, how well are we doing as Christians? The stewarding would necessitate a relationship to the Creator that was unbroken, non-fractured, a relationship that enveloped the entirety of not just their physical existence, but the entirety of their minds, their individual thinkings as well. God's relationship that he designed, that he has designed with mankind, is such that he designed it to where these things are hard to say sometimes. He designed it to where that man, when he's standing accurate before his God, would never have a thought that he was not cognizant of that his thinkings were in the presence of God and that his thinkings were in complete conformity with the thinkings of his Creator. Zero separation, zero alienation, nothing. Just constantly there. This relationship demanded constant and unbroken communication with the Creator in order to fulfill this design. Thus, God, the Creator's design for his relationship to humans, is an inseparable relationship. giving constant instruction and guidance in how to exist in the blessing. We have a footnote there, 5, stating Proverbs 8, 10 through 11, receive my instruction. So we have all this. Now he's saying, receive my instruction and not silver, in knowledge rather than choice gold. It's almost like we've heard this before. For wisdom is better than rubies, and all the things that may be desired are not to be compared to it. So the Creator's design for his relationships to human is an inseparable relationship, giving constant instruction and guidance in how to exist in the blessing, the relationship that he designed humans to have with him. He desires no separation, no alienation in mind or physical body. In fact, he established it to where you and I cannot be, whether we're wicked, whether we're unsaved or saved, it is impossible to be separated from God. It's impossible. Because we just covered why. All of creation exists in him. We can be alienated. Our thinkings can be contrary to his thinkings, which is death. So that's God's designed relationship to humans. So again, we're looking at, before we go into how we have been designed to interact with him, how has he established the relationship as such, showing this is hard to word it just right, but what is his desire, or what is his design for his relationship to humans? And what you come away with is his design for his relationship with humans is inseparability. Man cannot do anything or go anywhere or think any thought without him there. In fact, for rebellious man, what does he do? He provides that needed instruction to drive them back to him. For the man that loves him, what does he do? He's constantly providing that needed instruction to drive them closer to him. Yes.
Alienated and stuff, like as far as Christian wise, would that be the part where someone might say like they've kind of fallen out of the will of God and they're doing this, or
sure, that could be a way. Yeah, that would. Yes. So yeah, when I say alienated,
or is that something different that you're kind of?
No, that fits in it. For the whole area of what I'm talking about, when I say alienated, let's do it this way. Let's say you're conversing with, everything okay? Oh, I don't care about me being seen in the camera. Let's say you're in conversation with your dad, and you two are talking about the same thing. When he says words, you're understanding them the way he intends them to be understood. And when you speak, he's understanding your words in the way that you intended them to be understood. You are of one mind and one thinking in accord with one another. Right? And that, now, your mind is not alienated because you know exactly where the other stands, what they're thinking, and you're in one accord with that. Right? Your thinking is along the exact same lines. It's the same thinkings. Now, what if your dad is speaking to you and you're speaking back to him, but you're saying the same words to each other, but you have two different definitions in your heads. You see what I mean? So, and so you're not comprehending what he's saying because he's saying something different than how you're thinking. And then what you're saying is not resonating with him because Have you ever had a conversation with somebody where it starts out, you guys think you know you're what you're talking about, and you're both talking about the same thing, and then coming to later find out, oh, we're not talking about the same thing at all. You see? So your minds are alienated from each other. One is thinking one way, and the other is thinking another way, trying to communicate, right? But you can't communicate until you realize, oh, we need to get on the same subject. We need to be of the same mind, the same thinkings, and then we can communicate. So when man is naturally born alienated from God, meaning his thinkings are contrary to the Creator's thinkings. That's where we get the concept there of human wisdom versus God's wisdom. We think we're smart in our thinkings, and God says, no, you're foolish in your thinkings. You need true wisdom. You need my mind. And so what happens is we go about life in our own thinkings, making things make sense for us. But in God's thinkings, he has established all of creation to exist a specific manner. He's created a specific relationship that he's to have with man and man to him. And in that, there is blessing and it works perfectly. But when man rejects that thinking and goes his own way, he is at odds with the entire creation. He cannot interact in any way but frictionally and problematic in the creation, even with himself, because he is not thinking along the designs of wisdom, the design of the Creator.
That would be like to the point where God would bring you back to that point where you would repent.
Yes. So because our thinkings are one way, and he knew it, he has the design as such that when we are of one mind in him, thinking in him, we enjoy life in a very specific way. Well, true life. When we're not, we have that contrast of that design, right? Which is where we're getting this contrasting parallelism. He's designed everything as such that even those that rebel against him, he has a design for that too. And the design of it is that things don't work. We may be able to hide things for a while, but we cause problems to ourselves. We literally, since he's in his perfect love, he makes it extremely difficult and problematic to not be thinking in his mind. Because if we think in our own mind for our entire life and we never turn to him, what do? We cause ourselves to die and go to hell because we've rejected him. So in his love, he's causing friction, and that friction is his discipline of, hey, no, turn back. No, don't go that way. No. Do you notice how often, as we're violational, the hardships get harder and harder the longer you're doing it, right? Like if you take a penny and you dip it in acid and wipe it off, it doesn't do much. But if you leave that penny in there overnight, it'll be gone by morning. You see, and that corrosion is just destroys everything. So over that length of time, it causes more heartaches and more problems and more problems and more problems, and they get more ingrained in us. So, but he's designed all of that. It's kind of as friction to slow us down, to get us to think, to get us to see, hey, I'm not right. Because when I'm thinking my own way, what am I thinking? I got this. I know what I'm doing. And then he allows, in this perfect love, he allows that destruction to occur so we can go, oh, maybe I don't know what I'm doing. Maybe I actually do need to turn back to the one that designed it. Does that answer that? So to be alienated is to think contrary to his wisdom. Because his thinking is one way, and when we're thinking another way, even when we're in church, we're reading the Bible, but we haven't changed our thinkings. We build religions off of this. Baptists is now becoming this. That's what's happening. That's why all the issues. And so, because we still want to be right, we'll bring God into our so-called wisdom and make it appear that we're godly. But it doesn't change anything. Our thinking is still alienated from his thinking. Yeah? Okay, so point number 2. God's designed relationship for humans to God. This is the design of true life. Okay? This is the design of true life. I saw that. All right, focus now. Focus. The Creator designed humans to be constantly aware. No, please don't miss this. The Creator designed humans to be constantly aware that they were existing in the very presence of the Creator. Isn't that what we just discussed in point 1? Okay. I fall short of that a lot. Aware that the creation itself, in every minute detail, was a perfect revelation of the Creator. They were designed to comprehend that please don't miss this, they were designed to comprehend that their very awakeness, their very awareness of their existence was in His presence. He's not just there when we want something. Like, oh, no, I know God's always, everything's in God. Yeah. No. We're not comprehending it if we just know all the book answers. But we are designed to be aware that our very existence is in His actual presence. Because you see, since we can't physically see Him the way we think we should see Him, that means one day we're going to be in His presence. Are we not in His presence? Yeah. Is the whole realm of your mind and your thoughts in His presence?
Yeah, the Holy Spirit guide for me.
Correct. So our mind is part of the creation, right? Which means unsaved man and saved man alike, all of their thinkings stand in the presence of God, because He pervades all of that as well. It's interesting how we think that our thinkings are safe as long as we don't act on them. No one will really know. Oh, yes, He does. We need a true relationship in our mind. And then we'll have a true relationship in our life. But you can't have a true relationship with Him in life and not in the mind. Oh, but I pray a lot. Yeah, because you want a lot of things. It's not because you're submitted to Him. You want Him to do your will. They could never even conceive being alone in their thoughts. I've thought that way before. I'm just in my own head thinking about things. You realize the first two humans before violation, that was never even a concept in their mind. Not even a concept. And even if we have the concept now, it's still wrong. They could never even conceive being alone in their thoughts, as it was impossible to have a thought without being at one with the mind, the thinkings of the Creator. They could not imagine life without His intimate presence. He existed their presence. It's not that He was a part of their presence. It's not that, oh yeah, I'm here and God's here with me. No, He is my existence. Do you see the difference? He is the existence. It's not that He holds all existence. He is the existence. Where we often think we have an existence separate from Him, and when I need something, I'll come to Him, or whatever manner. It's very foolish. This was inescapable in the mind of the very first two humans before violation. If that is the design pre-violation, does that change after violation? No. Man violating the design of God does not change the design of God. Okay. In Genesis 1, 27 through 28, the thought there is you could go to is like, well, after Adam and Eve violated, wasn't there a new design criteria that came into play? They still didn't change the design of God by their violation. Man cannot influence God to do anything. We don't have that authority or power. God already knowing that would occur, brought design criteria that already existed into play at that point, so to speak. So, we'll move on. In Genesis 1, 27 through 28, the Creator gave to mankind his blessing. That is, humans were created to accurately represent the Creator to the entirety of the creation. Man, what relationship would that demand? Think about it. What relationship would that demand? If the Lord God himself designed the relationship that he would have with man to be inseparable in every way, commands man to know him in every intimate detail, and then sets man to accurately represent him. But what's the normal concept to humans? Oh, I'm saved. I'm on my way to heaven. I'm good. I can do whatever I want now. Fool. Oh, what a shame. What a shame we bring to him. The human's relationship to the creation did not replace the Creator, as humans were designed to accurately represent the Creator in their finite abilities. Limitations designed by the Creator, but their stewardship of the creation was designed as the way for them to act upon or to cause firmness to their relationship to the Creator. So meaning, God did not set man or humans to be his representation to the creation so he wouldn't have to be involved in it. Right? It's like kind of a middleman. That's not what he did. The stewarding of the creation would be done in accordance with the quality of their relationship to the Creator. And no one can escape it. No one can. This is an absolute fact. It's a fact that people don't like. But it doesn't change anything. Our interaction in the creation is solely and only based upon our relationship to our God. And we can say, well, I love God all we want to. But the fact is that if I am not seeking to know him and doing and having the mindset of what we discussed, and desiring to grow and to learn in him, to study his word, to know how he's designed me to interact and represent him, then I don't love him. We can't take the word love and make it whatever we want it to mean. Love is a word that we'll pick up and put down. We'll love him on Sunday, but not on Monday. I'm just going to love him today because it's Sunday. We're going to do all these things. And then the next day, we're going to set him down and do what we want to do. That's not love. By designing humans as such, the Creator designed them so that they could only interact in the creation in accord with the relationship that they currently had with the Creator. Said differently, the Creator designed humans so that their thoughts would be inescapably influenced by the quality of their relationship with their God. What affects all of my activities? My thoughts. That's why I left it at the thoughts. Their thoughts would be inescapably influenced by the quality of their relationship to their God. Thus, God, the Creator, designed humans to be inseparable from their relationship with him. Meaning, God's designed relationship that humans were to have with their God is that he exists, the foundation of their existence. He exists, their existence. Thus, this is God's design of true life for humans. This right here is the relationship that God calls life. We can be religious all we want to and not have life. This is God's design for life, true life for humans. Point number 3, a continuation in this design demands work. The blessing that God gave to humans in Genesis 1, 27 through 28 contained 5 imperative commands pertaining to work, or to the work, the activity in which they were to be constantly working. They were commanded to work to abide by the Creator's perfect design pertaining to every aspect and situation in the creation. A portion of this work was also to dress it and to keep it. In Genesis 2:15, and the Lord God took the man and put him in the Garden of Eden to dress it and to keep it. Okay, so that work of maintaining and growing and all those things were already designed. Okay, they were already there pre-violation. They were commanded to work to abide by the Creator's. So meaning, if the Creator established a perfect design for mankind to exist in, that entails that man do the activity constantly of ensuring that he is inside of that design. Right? That's an activity that we are to be constantly doing. Making sure that every step is accurate, is right, everything is examined according to who God is, and that I only seek to be influenced by my God and nothing else. I'm not interested in stepping outside of His design. I want to interact in Him as He's designed me to. That's work, right? That's activity. So when He commands us to do these things in the steward, this is an activity that we can't get away from. So this is a constant activity. Life. Oh, where am I? This is followed by an even more detailed instruction, all individual criterion of the initial blessing. Second paragraph under point 3. Life, defined by the Creator, is existing in His perfect design. This is the work that we're to be in. Existing in Him, causing firmness to Him, and rejecting all other influences. This is only accomplished by humans when they submit themselves, Joe, come on, submit themselves to the Creator's authority over their existence and gladly receive the instruction that He provides. This receiving instruction is not to be understood as past tense. When is God not instructing you and I? Does He ever stop? So when are we to stop receiving? The same. We are to be receiving to the same extent that He is giving. So it's not past tense. So the whole concept again of, I already know all that already, I don't need to, hold up. I don't think I want much to do with you.
I gotta say this.
Yes, sir.
Is that where Adam and Eve messed it up for all of us?
Which part?
From the beginning. In God's eyes, when He made Adam and Eve, they was perfect. And that's where choice.
Yes.
That's where our choice come in and do. And if we don't do what we're supposed to do, we stand accountable for it.
Correct.
Like they did.
Yes. Yes, very much so. Exactly. Exactly. You're not mad, I'm just kidding. I know you got to go to work. Okay. Yeah, that's exactly. And we're going to, this document went 2 pages longer, if you notice, than normal, because I'm really seeing more and more things that, as I'm working and building these things, I'm seeing more and more that needs to be added to each one. But, so, of course.
God seen Adam and Eve did what they did, but they realized choice and their free will come in place. Is that where he knew that Jesus one day would have to come and pay for our sins?
And he knew that before He ever created anything.
He knew that before Adam and Eve was
Correct.
created.
He knew that before He brought everything into existence in Genesis 1:1.
I heard that statement says, if Jesus hadn't came and gave His life, none of us would have a chance. We'd all be hellbound.
That's a fact, but that was also established long before He ever created. I forget the actual verse and statement, but God established that Christ would come for the violations of man and pay for that long before he ever created. So again, He always knew that in eternity. So yeah. Very good. Very good. Okay. Again, life defined by the Creator is existing in His perfect design, existing in Him, causing firmness to Him, and rejecting all other influences. This is only accomplished by humans when they submit themselves to the Creator's authority over their existence and gladly receive the instruction that He provides. This receiving instruction is not to be understood as a past tense, but as an action that we are to be continuously doing in the present. They are to comprehend the necessity of the instruction that the Lord gives, as it accurately reveals Him in His design for their existence, providing life that is absolutely vital to their existence. Thus, God's design for humans is to do the work of keeping, wow, look at that, I can't spell that word either, of keeping His instruction. Thus, we have the first line of the proverb, a way to life exists, keeping instruction. So the word way has to do with that indication of activity of something. So the way to life, what way is it? It's the way of keeping instruction. So it's the keeping instruction that exists to life. That's why He gives it, right? So that's what it's staying there. So letter A, oh my, again. Okay, I'll try to hurry. Letter A, what instruction are we to be keeping? The word instruction intrinsically has the idea of information that is to be received and applied. Meaning, when God communicates with man, He is not just speaking because He has nothing else to do. He has in His mind, this is instruction, this is what I am going to be given, which is to be received and applied. So to give instruction indicates that there's an expectation of it being received and applied. Okay? The whole purpose of wisdom's instruction is for it to be used and applied in every aspect of life. The instruction that we are commanded to receive and adhere to and obey is God's instruction. And His instruction carries the full weight of who He is. God must be the sole source of the instruction in our life. That's the only source that we're allowed to take instruction from. We are to obey His instructions perfectly and reject all other instruction sources. Letter B, how are we to keep the instruction? This word for keep carries the primary idea of growth or safety for the purpose of growth. Okay? This word has guard or protect as its main focus. An example of this would be castle's walls. Most of the people in this time period I'm speaking of lived outside of the castle walls as they need space for building their farms, raising their cattle, hunting, fishing, etc., and going about living their lives. When another king from another castle or land would invade, the people would take their families and whatever possessions would be most valuable, including food and water, that which they would need to sustain them for an extended amount of time, and they would all seek refuge behind the castle wall. When that castle wall was there for safety, so that they would, not just safety, but safety so that they would continue in preservation. Well, what happens when you continue being alive? You continue to grow. So the purpose of it includes that concept of growth. The walls were built to keep the people inside the castle safe from any invaders for the greatest length of time possible. The purpose was the safety, security, and preservation of those who sought refuge behind the wall. In like manner, this word carries the concept of safety, security, and preservation, again, for the purpose of growth. Thus, we are to be constantly causing ourselves to preserve the Creator's instruction in our mind, ensuring that His instruction is what remains the foundation of our mind and our existence, because that is the nutrients which He gives for us to grow. That's what He provides. Number 4, God's design for those who reject His design of relationship for humans to God. Now, God perfectly designed mankind to correlate information, to build presuppositions and thinking processes, and then to evaluate everything he or she comes into contact with those presuppositions, with those thought processes. But again, God commanded it to be done a specific way in Him perfectly, which leaves the ability for man to choose to not to. Okay? So, God designed that perfectly. So the Creator's design is for humans to exist in the manner of keeping his design, as we just discussed, as this provides life as he designed it. This was to be their manner of existence in order to enjoy his blessing. The instruction that he gives is what is necessary for humans to exist in that life, and without it only brings continued alienation and death. The Creator designed humans to think, to assimilate information, to correlate that information, to evaluate it, and then to come to conclusions based on that information and all of the presuppositions that are already resident in that human's mind. This process was designed to only contain the design of God. Now, imagine for a minute there's no violation. Everybody who's born is not born in a violational body. There is no corruption. Could you imagine 3,000 years of building your thinking as you're receiving instruction, all perfectly according to the design of God, and your thinkings only contain the design of God? Well, what about 50 years? It'd be incredible. What if you could pass that on to your children, and then they could benefit from those 50 years and then grow themselves for 70, 80 years? And they could pass on all of that to their children, and so on and so forth. That is the design of God. Okay, but humans having the ability to think for themselves reevaluate the Creator's value and attach to him the value that they deem appropriate. Thus, those who think contrary to the Creator's thinkings do not value his instruction, as they view their own instruction to be of value and not the Creator's. Thus, they abandon his instruction and leave truth, life, the blessing. This rejecting of the Creator's instruction can only cause a state of straying, which causes continued alienation, destruction, and death. Thus, the second line of this proverb, an abandoning of rebuke exists, causing straying. So what causes straying from the design of God, or leaving it? Straying, by the way, isn't an accidental word. Oh, it can often carry that concept today in certain usages. This is not what it's talking about. This is an on-purpose activity. It's the abandoning of rebuke. It is the rejection of the instruction. It is the saying to God, the words that come out of your mouth are not important. The words that come out of my mouth are important. Get away from me. Oh, I would never say that. No, yeah, exactly. We just live it. Which one's worse? Neither. Letter A here, the connection of rebuke and instruction. Although the two lines of this proverb are contrasting, the word rebuke and instruction are not. They are synonymous. They are looking at the same thing, but from two different perspectives. The human who is seeking instruction, that which is necessary for life, from the Creator, does not perceive instruction to be a bad thing. On the contrary, he hungers for it. The human who is seeking to get away from the instruction of the Creator is existing contrary to the one who gives instruction, and thus perceives his instruction as negative, as a rebuke, being that they are not in conformity and do not have a desire to conform to his image as according to his likeness. Letter B, the destruction that humans do to themselves by abandoning God's instruction. The destruction that is done in the life of the person who rejects the Creator's rebukes and strays from it rests on the shoulders of that person and that person alone. God's design is that the manner of existence of life is only by keeping his instruction. Meaning, in whatever areas that I am destroying myself, I am not keeping his instruction. I may be keeping a commandment of man or a tenet of man, which is causing the instruction, but it's not God's. God's design is that you will cause yourself to stray and its effects only by rebelling against him and his design. This is what this proverb is discussing. Any questions? Yep, so this is his set design criterion pertaining to this.
Have you ever heard the statement, people blame Adam and Eve for what?
Sure. Sure. Okay, so that's kind of interesting because that's assuming, number one, that nobody else would have, and number two, that person wouldn't have. Right? So, I get where they're coming from a little bit. We're born in a specific state because of their activity. But the fact is, I violate the design of God because I choose to. And that's otherwise, when everybody dies, they can all blame Adam and Eve. Well, it's his fault. Wasn't this covered in the 3rd chapter when Eve blamed the serpent and Adam blamed Eve? Maybe there's a correlation to that. So, yeah, I've heard that. All right, anything else? All right, let's pray and then we'll be dismissed. Haley. Heavenly Father, Lord, thank you for this time this evening. And, Lord,